tighten up. Let's get tightened up. Tightened up. Tightened up. Tightened up.
It's a brand new dance and we about to go live. Tighten up, Nashville, rep the 615. First you tighten 2 step, step to the right. Then you tighten 2 step to the left. Blue jerseys everywhere, game face, yeah we got it on. Sticking out our chest, beating on it like it's King Kong. Countdown, it's about to get rough. Here come the train, y'all. Tennessee, tighten up.
What's up, guys? It's 65 South Sports, your boy Jason. I'm going to let my other guys introduce them. We got somebody new with us that's been hanging out with us, talking with us every now and then. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. Go ahead, Chandler.
What's going on, everybody? It's Chandler. You know, we back with it once again. It's been a long time since we've been able to do this. We've been wanting to do it for months, years now, but we are officially back.
Yes,
sir.
We are back. And like Jason said, I'm introducing myself. I'm Darius. You remember me. Thank you. Had dreads, cut them off. So it's a different change going on around here. But, yes, glad to be back with the guys.
All right, I'm the new guy. My name is Welton Pryor. I'm the big Welly, a.k.a. Welly Well. You feel me? You know, forums. I know Chandler since about 4th grade. We've been kicking it.
Sir.
And everything like that. So, big Titans fan. As you can see, had to come in repping day one with the, you know what I'm saying, little swag and whatnot. But real happy to be on the show and really talk about this football team and let's get into it.
My boy Welton got him a whole little set going on, like he's shooting a movie or something, you know. He got the costume and everything. I feel it.
Man, had to get the Vince Young jersey.
Oh, Vince Young, man. You know, the throwback, man. Everybody had one of those.
Everybody.
Oh, man. All right, well, I'm happy we're getting to do this again. You know, it's been a minute. Something that I love doing. I love hanging out with my boys, talking football. So I've been looking forward to it. I guess this episode we're kind of just going to talk about free agency because that's the big thing going on right now. Titans have had a lot of different moves that a lot of people are kind of divisive on right now. So, you know, we've cut some big name guys, signed some guys that we're pretty excited about. So this first kind of segment right here, we're just going to talk about the guys that we've released. I'm going to name them off real quick, and then we're all just going to give our thoughts on them. So we released Adam Humphries this postseason. Missed a couple games last year due to injury and stuff like that. We also released Adoree Jackson, former first-round pick. We released Dennis Kelly, one of the more rotational offensive tackles, but definitely somebody that was a big piece to the offensive line last season and the past couple seasons. Kenny Vaccaro, one of our safeties, big-time run stuffer, box safety kind of guy, big playmaker. Corey Davis, one of my personal favorite players of the last few years, but he's out with New York. Yep, 3 years, $37 million. And then Jonnu Smith, who recently got released and signed a deal with New England. So we've lost a couple of playmakers on offense and on defense. Some pretty valuable pieces, I'd say. And it's something that the Titans are going to have to, move forward with, but also understand, you can't fix all of these issues in 1 year. It's not really that realistic. So, Chandler, what do you think is going to be, the biggest loss out of all these guys? And what do you think the Titans need to do to get back on the right track to fill those holes?
Yeah, so with this, it's very interesting just because I didn't see them kind of releasing as many people as they did. Now, I get it, you want to make a big splash. So one of the big splashes they were needing, especially the biggest lack, pass rusher. You didn't get any production out of Clowney. You got a little bit out of Harold Landry, but you were hoping he took another step. They didn't have anybody that was a double-digit sack leader. So that also did not help their case. And then offensively, it's like, well, you drafted Corey Davis as a top 5 pick. You also had Jonnu Smith, who was breaking out. I guess not this past season, but the year before. He showed how versatile he was. He even went on the I don't know, he was on one of those talk shows today talking about, he thinks he's the most versatile tight end in the league, which, he's definitely up there. You got a tight end that runs what, 4.4? Something like that.
Yeah.
He can catch. He can – hey, if you need him to do end around, he'll run an end around for you. So, honestly, I know defense was the biggest struggle last year. I know y'all know I wasn't high on Adoree. I know you guys kind of were more, especially y'all figured he was playing a little bit better as the season went along. But I don't know. I feel like missing Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith is definitely going to be as big of an issue as not having your defensive players there, just because now all the attention's on A.J. Brown, and now you need to find another player because AJ's going to get doubled every game now. And, of course, we know we still got Derrick Henry. We all know that. But passing-wise, you need to find somebody else that can be a very good, solid two. We know Curtis Samuel, Will Fuller. It doesn't look like Galladay is going to be happening. Galladay's meeting with the Giants, so we'll see what happens with that either today or tomorrow. I'm sure he'll be signing a deal at some point. But, yeah, offensively, they got some holes that that's pretty sizable that they're going to need to replace.
Yeah, for sure. Because I was thinking the same thing. Like, now that you got AJ and he started to break out, everybody realizes how talented he is. Like, not having Corey on the opposite side, he's definitely going to get a lot more attention if they don't find someone that can come in and be a raw playmaker. Darius, what do you think about the guys that have moved on, and what do you think moving forward the Titans need to do?
So I like to approach this by looking at both sides of the ball, kind of like how Chandler did. So defensively, you knew something. Malcolm Butler, even though to a lot of people, I would say he was a top 3 defensive player for the Titans, in my opinion. Top 3 defensively. But his contract was just too expensive, and that's very unfortunate. So I understand letting him go. Everybody knew he was a potential cap casualty. With Adoree Jackson, I did not expect. I'm pretty sure nobody did, but Mike Vrabel always alluded to in his press conferences. On one of his press conferences, he said that it was more of the players, and he kind of doubled down on that with his actions. And he's, because everyone was so unhappy with the Shane Bowen, rehiring, or promotion or lack thereof, depending on how you look at it. But I could definitely see why John Robinson is double downing with Mike Vrabel on the defensive side of the ball, because the defense was historically bad, definitely on third down. It couldn't have did anything positive in anybody's opinion. So wasn't expecting that. But offensively, I was shocked about Dennis Kelly. And the reason why is because I think he played well, but I know when they signed the tackle from Cleveland, I know when they signed him, that was almost like a kiss of death in a way to Dennis Kelly, because that was supposed to be Isaiah Wilson, which is unfortunate because it's the truth. Because I think what was going to happen, was Dennis Kelly was going to beat Isaiah Wilson because of, he's already polished as a pro. He knows how to be a pro. He has experience on the line with Derrick Henry, but I want to say his second year, his cap hit was going to be high, if I'm not mistaken. Dennis Kelly is, because I think he signed that deal that was $3 million, 21. It was like 21 million, 3 years, 21 million. I think his cap hit for this year after that extension was going to be high. So in my opinion, I think they were going to cut Kelly anyway and insert Isaiah Wilson. But that experiment failed and it did happen. So, and I'm not going to lie. I still am a Corey Davis fan.
We know that.
Off the wall right here. It is autographed. But, I think with also losing Jonnu as well, I think, as far as I am a Corey Davis fan, but I will admit, I think missing Jonnu Smith is more detrimental in a way, because I don't think there are many tight ends like Jonnu, in my opinion. And that's like Chandler said, you can put him in the backfield on the end round. Jonnu can block, and I don't understand why that was people's knocks against Jonnu, is because when Taylor Lewan went down and then Sambrala went down too, it was like now Jonnu's going to have to help chip block and all that stuff on the left side of the ball. So he's phenomenal at blocking, great with the ball in his hands. So I think missing Jonnu is going to be probably the most important out of the two, even though I am a big Corey fan. But I think you can replace the wide receiver pool has just become so deep recently. So that's my opinion about it.
The thing that was interesting to me about Jonnu is when you look at the deal that he got, it's roughly like $12 million a year. And I didn't realize this, but like you're basically paying it. Like if the Titans were to pay him that deal, it would basically be the same value as what you're paying Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like from a talent standpoint, like Jonnu is a freak and he's very versatile. He can do all this kind of stuff. But is he like as talented as Derrick Henry? Like he's not. And also the Titans have a lot of depth at tight end. You know, they got Michael Pruitt. They got ASAP Furt, my boy Anthony Firkser. I mean, they've got talent behind him that can make plays, and I kind of feel like they just look at it like, well, we'd rather use that money elsewhere and just kind of rely on the depth that we have at tight end rather than Jonnu just being that one guy that sticks out. So I agree with that. I think Jonnu is a great player, and I think he's going to go do big things with Cam and Hunter Henry up in New England. So I think losing Jonnu is definitely going to be kind of different because you don't have that target across the middle. I mean, I like Anthony Firkser and all those guys, but I mean, Jonnu's just a different kind of breed. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. My boy Welton, what are you thinking about this? Because I know that you are not very keen on a lot of J-Rob's first round picks, so I'm sure you got something to say about Adoree'. What are you thinking about these guys that have moved on from the roster?
Man, I was just trying to, take a little notes myself. That was kind of like everybody was going because everybody really said most of the things that, I was going to say. But to answer your question, I kind of knew Adoree' was coming. I put that in a group chat about, I don't know, maybe a few days before it happened when I shot on ESPN originally. Everybody was like, no, he's not going to get cut. But, I mean, obviously you see he didn't play 13 games. Was hurt, apparently had some attitude problems. So it's a lot of different things that just kind of didn't mesh with Vrabel. And when we first drafted him, I thought it was a decent pickup because he was versatile, but people graded it as like a B+, maybe if I remember correctly, because it was a reach. But they gave up for his potential. And so I could kind of see he was elite in some areas, but we didn't really use him in the return game or didn't really use him as much in those other areas or on offense. So I really feel like he has a lot of untapped potential, kind of like you said with Jonnu. Because as we kind of tailed off from using him. So, he just wasn't producing to the way that, he needed to produce when he played. And so he just kind of went out with everyone else. So I knew it kind of took some people, by surprise, but I definitely wasn't too high on him. Coming in and kind of knew he could be a cap casualty with $10 million that you could save or $14 million, whichever one that you could save from the cap, which now put us, I think, top 10 in cap space maybe now.
Yeah, somewhere around there, I think.
Somewhere around there. So I think that was really it sucks. It hurts, especially that he's a first-round draft pick. But it just really shows you that J-Rob really misses on a lot of these first-round picks. And that's just flat out, period. And even not first-rounder, even like other players, though. Like second-rounders. Like I'm sitting here, I pulled up, of course, Titans' worst draft picks. Like we have – see, he got here in 2016. In 2016, they said it was Kevin Dodd. A bum. Edit out. Taywan Taylor, who was a free agent, we didn't have a re-sign. Luke Falk in 2018. Who was we haven't re-signed Conklin. He's gone to the Browns. Corey Davis is gone. Now, not only is Corey Davis gone, look at what we could have had Jamal Adams, who we just Vaccaro. Imagine Adams and Byard in the backfield.
Instead of Conklin, you could have had Jalen Ramsey.
Exactly.
They traded down.
And so because of that, you're now having to completely release everybody and restructure your defense because they didn't play up to par because you're not drafting right.
Right.
And that's across the board.
No, I agree. I mean, because it's like if you don't – the thing is, right, I've always had this kind of philosophy when it comes to free agency. Free agency is where you fill your holes in your roster. Like if you've got big issues, that's where you go and sign the guys that have proven that they can play at this level. And then the draft is where you get value, where you go out and say, all right, this guy's got a whole lot of talent. We can sign him or we can draft him and get him at a cheap price, get him while he's really young and get him developed. And then when it's time for him to get signed, we can either decide to keep him or we can move on from him. And for whatever reason, the Titans don't have very much success with first-round picks. Kind of going back to what we've been talking about with Adoree' Jackson, Mike Vrabel, he kind of made it a point to say he needs guys that can fight through injuries. And maybe that's a reason, or at least a portion of why Autry got released this season. I don't know, but it's definitely been an interesting situation. And the way that I look at it is like you've basically released 3 secondary guys. You've got Vaccaro, you got Malcolm Butler, and you've got Autry Jackson. And then you've also
King's gone.
King is still a question mark, at least right now, for sure.
True.
And then you've also moved on from 2 receivers. So you're basically banking on the young guys that you've drafted to come in and step up for those guys that have been there a while. And Khalif's gone too. So it's like they've got major issues, and it kind of it goes back to saying like you've got to utilize your draft picks and utilize free agency as well as you can, because in a few years those guys might be gone. But I mean, moving on to who we've gotten, I'm kind of excited about some of the signings that we've got so far. So I'm gonna just list them out real quick, and then we can kind of talk amongst each other about them. I'm gonna probably go to Willie first this time since he went last time.
Yeah, do it like that. We'll rotate. Three.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we got Kendall Lamb, the backup tackle for the Browns and the Texans. He's been a backup for most of his career. We got Bud Dupree. I know Chandler's pretty excited about that. We're trying to get to the quarterback this year since the 2 guys we had last year in free agency didn't do nothing. We've got Janoris Jenkins, Jack Rabbit. I'm excited about that. The cornerback, 14th highest graded corner according to PFF last year. My boy Jayon Brown, big signing, 1-year deal, prove it deal basically. I call it a bet on yourself deal personally, but it's a prove it deal. And then Jeff Swaim and Anthony Ferkster. So, Willie, who do you think is going to be the most impactful signing? And what are you looking forward to in the next coming days in free agency?
It better be the person we just gave $16.5 million, $85 million for. It better be Bud Dupree. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like you said, we spent $13 million on Clowney last year. Or maybe it was even more than that. I know we spent 6.5 or maybe even $9 million on Beasley. So we're spending a lot for 0 sacks. Like the 4 of us combined could have had as just like, and that's ridiculous. Like I understand Clowney's hurt, but now he's injury prone. He's gotten hurt in Houston. I think he got hurt in Seattle. He's gotten hurt here. So every stop he's hurt. Maybe you can bring him back on like a $3, $4, $5 million deal, but he's going to be reaching something else. So I don't really touch him.
Let me interrupt you real quick. It's not now he's injury prone. He's been injury prone since South Carolina. So,
but he's injury prone on my team. So it's like,
hey, Chandler's always said Jadavion's built out of wet paper milk.
Every morning I built like bones.
Yeah, he said he's built like a wet paper sack.
I told y'all, man. Hey, I did not rock for dude from the rip, but go ahead, man.
Oh man,
I definitely think him and Autry in the trenches, man. One thing Chandler did tell me is that the game is won and lost in the trenches. I used to be a real skills receiver guy. I love the flashy names and whatnot, which I still do. Maybe we trade for Odell. Maybe that's the big secret. Who knows? Put that on that's a hot take.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But no, I definitely think that the D line, him and Autry are really great pickups, good value. I think they have some chip on their shoulders. I knew Autry is a UDFA, undrafted free agent. So he always kind of has that work ethic. So I'm kind of glad that they're here to grind it out. Janoris Jenkins always been a good man cover. Corner, so he should, kind of sit in that veteran experience, should really give off to Fulton as well as other rookies that, come in. And if we draft a JC Horn, in the
my boy,
round, you know what I'm saying? And then kind of going to what we could see later on. I feel like we did a lot with the defense already, so maybe we could focus on, unless we trade for Gilmore or Will Fuller, or Kyle Fuller.
Kyle Fuller.
It doesn't sound like they're going to make that move now.
What'd you say?
It doesn't sound like they're going to make that move. Somehow the Bears got under the cap, and they didn't give like nobody.
Somehow.
Bro, legit, we don't know how they got under the cap, but they have somehow got under this cap.
They money laundering up in Chicago, huh?
Since that's not going to happen, then, if we want to keep that open for the draft, then definitely want to see some offensive signings, right? really want to see, Curtis Samuel. I feel like he's a nice little Swiss Army knife because he can do some of the things that Jonnu did. But we line him up at running back. We line him back up, and he's kind of really versatile in that way is what I'm saying, the versatility piece that Jonnu brings. So if we can bring him in, that would be great on a team-friendly deal, maybe around like 9-10 mil, and that's kind of pushing it. But hopefully we can get him around there for 2-3-year deal. Or maybe like, Rashad Higgins, from Baker.
Cleveland.
Yeah, in Cleveland. Maybe we can get him. Or I really want to see some tight end action. I understand that, we signed a guy, your boy ASAP Ferg and them, but I'm maybe we can get an Everett or a trade for Ertz or sign a Rudolph.
Everett just signed a contract with the Seahawks, so he is off the board.
Today?
Jared Everett just signed with the Seahawks, literally 5-10 minutes ago.
And with the
man
off, but hey, I definitely think we need to sign somebody else to that tight end room, unless we just draft someone early. But I think tight end is a very skill set that we can use coming off play action, coming off a lot of great different sets that was used a lot. So that's what I think we should really focus on the offense now, specifically the pass catching, since we lost 37% of our offense in free agency. Definitely need to focus on that in day 3.
Man, I completely agree. I'm gonna just throw this out there. I'm gonna be real honest with you. If the Titans somehow sign Curtis Samuel, I'm cannonballing into the Cumberland River. Like, I don't care. Like, Curtis Samuel or Will Fuller, I'm ecstatic. I'm doing backflips. I'm doing cartwheels. Y'all gonna see me on Twitter just absolutely wilding because the Titans need a burner. Like, they thought Khalif Raymond was that guy. And don't get me wrong, he made some crazy plays in big moments. Yeah.
He's not that guy.
Well, he's like just off that, like he's not it. But I mean, and it's a great story, he's undrafted. He grinded everywhere. He was on practice squads, bounce backs, all that kind of stuff. And he made some big plays for the Titans, but he's just not versatile enough. And I also just feel like even though, I'm an undersized guy and I always pull for the short kings, he just couldn't step up to that level that you need him to be a wide receiver 3 or a 4. So the Titans have to go out and get somebody with some burner ability, and I would love to see Will Fuller, especially since he's always just running all over our secondary anytime we play them. So that'd be nice. But going to my man Demo, what are you excited about? I actually forgot. I'm glad you mentioned Autry because that's a really big signing. I think him next to Jeffrey Simmons is going to be huge. I thought I wrote that down, but I guess I didn't. So anyways, Demo, what's your opinion on some of the signings we got? What are you looking forward to? What are you kind of weary on?
So with me, I didn't really put too much thought into it, but the defense definitely needed some type of assistance, right? Because there's no way your corners were playing 7 yards off the ball because your pass rush can't get there. That's embarrassing. Right, it's totally embarrassing. So I'm like everybody else at first when I was thinking of the ideal pass rusher. I was thinking, I liked Ngakoue. I'm not gonna lie, I did like him. I liked Judon, but I knew both of those guys are gonna be expensive. But I guess expensive doesn't matter anymore since we gave Bud 16.5. So
that just was more of a matter of who preferred what.
I mean, it's probably a lot of competition for him too, especially
I think that's what it was.
And once they came off the board, it was like, we got to do something.
Especially, I didn't realize this, but he only played in 11 games last year, but he had 8 sacks.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's huge.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, I was going to get to that.
Yeah.
So that was huge. And I think it was I think he injured himself against the Ravens. Against the Ravens. That's when he hurt himself, unfortunately. But I looked at Bud Dupree's Twitter, and he's already pushing weight on the sled, going crazy. I'm just like, okay, well,
him and Derrick Henry should get along just well.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be workout buddies or something like that. But back to what Jason and Wilton said too. I think that the Nico Autry signing is probably one of the most underrated signings of this free agency, just because the Nico Autry is going to play next to Jeff Simmons, but last year he put up 7.5 sacks from that position, which is, I know they do run a different defense, but what I'm saying is just for the nature of that position, that is still an impressive feat. You just don't get 7.5 sacks from anywhere on the field. You know what I mean? So doing it from that interior position is going to be definitely fun watching him and Jeff. And I know Jeff isn't, DeForest Buckner or whatever, but I think he can be.
He can get there.
Yeah, he's a mauler. We know.
Yeah.
Big Jeff is a mauler. He putting them paws on you. You're gonna take a ride. Ask Quentin Nelson.
You can't double Jeff anymore either.
Exactly, because now you have to deal with both of them. So
yeah,
I think along with Bud, so it's gonna be Bud, Harold, Autry, Nico Autry, and Simmons. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. Now transitioning, like I said, I like Janoris Jenkins. He has graded highly, even though the age does scare me because we all have Jonathan Joseph PTSD because of old cornerbacks. But I think the thing is that Janoris Jenkins obviously has played pretty good for the later part of his career. I think since 2018 he's in like top 5 for PBUs when he was with the Saints and all that stuff. If I'm not mistaken. So he's been playing well. So hopefully he can just keep it up, and help us out. If there was, I'm not really weird of any signing. I like the Jayon Brown signing. I think it's very, very team friendly because I think, and honestly, the elbow injury to me, it was gruesome. Every time I look at it, I cringe. So I think, this is a good deal for himself. It's like, okay, we'll give you a prove it deal, or like Jason said, a bet on yourself deal. I like that term. So yeah, I really think that's a great deal. So not only you save money, but you also at the same time you get continuity back with an inside linebacking core, and I thought, in my opinion, I thought they was going to let Jayon walk because of the injury and because of, Jayon started slow, but he started to pick it up. That's the thing. He started to get better, later on in the year. But I guess, they like what they see out of Jayon. And I honestly, I don't blame them. And definitely for that kind of money, Yeah. So.
My thing, too, the one thing that's kind of interesting about Jayon is, like, he doesn't fit the mold of your prototypical inside linebacker. Like, in college, he was playing safety. And he's, like, short. He's really not that tall. He's, like, right at 6 foot, like 210, 215 pounds. So he kind of fits what you need him to do. Like, he can play the box and cover and whatnot. But the thing that's interesting is, like, David Long is basically the linebacker, too, at least right now, iffy situation with Rayshawn. David Long and Jayon are essentially the same kind of linebacker. It's like now you've got two of the same guys. They're probably hoping that one of them really steps up and they can kind of let go of the other one. But if Rayshawn ends up leaving and they don't give him an extension, you basically got two of the same linebackers at the same spot. So I don't know how it's really going to work out. It should be interesting. I'm a big fan of Jayon.
Draft pick wasted.
Nah, man. Here goes Willie.
I'm just
his future is definitely in the air, like, for real.
Oh yeah, no question.
Definitely after last year.
Hey, look. If all we had to do was grade linebackers on goal line stands, Rayshawn would be number 1 in the league. But that's not all he's got to do. So I mean, look, you put him on goal line, he's going to Superman dive over the line and smack somebody in the backfield. But I mean, that's not all he's got to do. That's the problem. So, all right. So Chandler, I'm gonna kick it to you real quick. Who are you looking forward to the Titans potentially signing? Is there anything you don't like? Is there anything you do like? Let me hear you.
Well, potentially signing, I'm really not sure. I need to take a look at the free agency list. But receiver is definitely the next step. Well, I mean, of course, receiving tight end, as we were talking about it earlier. But my favorite signing was definitely Bud Dupree. I like Bud Dupree when he was in Kentucky because my cousin, he's a Steelers fan. I was like, dude, I think y'all got y'all a pretty solid player. Now, he did he flashed here and there. I don't think he lived up to what he was supposed to be in Pittsburgh. But, of course, when you get T.J. Watt, you got Casey Hayward and, hold on. Is it Casey Hayward?
Truitt, Stephon Truitt?
No. The D lineman, the other D lineman was it? It's not Cameron Hayward, is it?
Yeah, it is Cameron.
Yeah,
Cameron.
Okay, yeah. Casey Hayward's the corner.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you got him. So I know you got a lot of pieces, but last year he was coming onto his own. I mean, he's quick off that edge. Like how Clowney is, I mean, he's quick off that. However, he gets to the quarterback. Now people say, oh well, what's McCauley? He's got TJ White. Look at his surrounding cast and this and that. But at the end of the day, you still have to get there. Leonard Floyd played with Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks. Couldn't do nothing for my Bears. So, but he gets with Aaron Donald and he puts up. Now he's getting a freaking whatever like Bud Dupree just got pretty much. He got like 64
a boatload.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, it's one of those. He'll likely, to me, I hope he pans out. I think he has a very good potential, especially, you're starting to build up that defensive line. Like we said, Autry had 7.5 sacks last year. Of course, he was playing with DeForest Buckner. But you also have to do your job. Like Darius said, you're not just going to walk into 7.5 sacks. You still have to get there. Dupree was on for a career year last year with 8 sacks in 11 games. He did unfortunately get hurt. And worst part was that game was pretty much over when they were playing the Ravens. Because the Ravens didn't have Lamar Jackson that game. I was watching it, and it was RG3 out there, and then Trace McSorley came to the game at some point. So that tells you how bad COVID really struck the Ravens in that one. And then, you see him go down. It's like, and everybody knew it's like, that's an ACL. And he was coming off an 11.5 sack season before that. So, yeah, he was possibly putting the pieces together. Or, I mean, it may also help, he was on Pittsburgh's D-line. Tomlin runs a very tight ship over there, so that's possibly also why everything was working out so well for Dupree. So, and he was also in a contract year. That may have something to do with it. I'm looking on the brighter side. I'm thinking, hey, he's finally figuring it out, and he's ready to take that next step. I mean, shoot. He better be taking that next step. He got $16.5 million. What is it? $6 million for whatever.
I think it's $85 million, $35 million guaranteed.
So I still need to see the breakdown of that contract. It's yet to come out. So because that'll tell if because if you can get out of that contract in like 2 years, it's like okay, well it's not that bad. But
if I had to guess, it's probably front loaded, which is good for the Titans. Because
they got cap space, so they're good.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I look at every situation like this is potentially another Vic Beasley. And if he comes in and puts up a dud and the Titans Twitter implodes like it always does because we don't have any pass rush. I'm weary. That's all I'm saying. I like Bud Dupree. I was watching his tape and kind of seeing what he's able to do. And man, he gets off that line quick. I'm not gonna lie. Like that first step is crazy. And it honestly kind of reminds me of Landry a little bit, just a little bit more explosive. Like he's not really a power rusher, I don't think, but he's really good at turning his speed into power, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was just saying, it's almost kind of like, it's kind of like Von Miller can do it. I'm not comparing to Von Miller. I'm not doing that at all. But Von can he can give you the bull rush, he can give you the speed rush. He can mix both. He's multiple. So that's if Dupree is able to do both of that as well, because you got to be able to mix it up as a passer. You just can't keep doing, I'm going to swim around, I'm going to do a spin, I'm going to spin inside, I'm going to step inside, go out. Like you just can't. You have to be able to mix it up, and that's what makes, those elite edge rushers so dominant, and that's part of the reason why a lot of pass rushers don't succeed because they got one or two moves, and it takes more than that to get around these offensive linemen, especially when everything's catered to the offense.
Yeah. No, I agree. So we got a couple different topics we're going to talk about. The next one, I think me and Welton were kind of talking about this. We kind of mentioned it earlier, but we wanted to talk about first-round picks because we also had another big thing happen today regarding a first-round pick from last year with the Titans. Isaiah Wilson ended up passing his physical with the Dolphins, meaning he is no longer in the Music City. He has been banished to South Beach with Tua and all them boys. Welton, how are you feeling right now?
Man, do we need better scouts? Like, I don't understand, man. J-Rob's always trying to get this value in the first round. It's like, no, do that in the fourth, fifth, maybe third round. You needed to get best player available for your area need in the first round. That's just my opinion. What fits your team culture? So the top one or two players in the area. I don't understand. People say that he really should have stayed another year in college, which I can definitely tell. He said he needed to mature. So I can see exactly why he said stuff. And so You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I feel like that's just – but I'm glad the burden's off us. I'm glad we kind of got rid of that. We got some capital back, a 7th-round pick. So it's kind of like it's fine. It is what it is.
Isn't it kind of wild we had to give up a 7th-round pick to get rid of him?
No, yeah, we did a swap.
Yeah,
So
but still, like, just the idea that you got a 1st-round pick like a year ago and you had to give something up along with him to get rid of him.
Because
like, that's crazy.
Just diminished so much. And it's like, bro, like, you played 4 games.
Yeah. No. He played 4 snaps.
Oh,
Yeah.
Snaps.
What they special team snaps, dude?
Bro, one of them he got blown up.
He was on it, bro. And so I'm just glad he's gone. I'm glad we can kind of move on from that kind of distraction, which I feel like that was kind of a distractor on the series as well, especially like what, I know we'll get to this later, but what Woodyard said after that kind of championship game when we lost, the kind of the beginning of the end for that defense and what happened. So I feel like all those distractions with the loss of Dean Pease and no defensive coordinator /
Hold on, y'all. We just got breaking news. Curtis Samuel is signing with the Washington football team.
Man. I was looking forward to that. Washington signing everybody, man.
Hey,
Per Adam Schefter, got to give out the sources.
Per Adam
I'm like,
Schefter.
tell him break the news. He
Well,
I was about to say.
Titans got to get on one. Titans got to get, Higgins, somebody to get some depth, man. Somebody.
I got a feeling.
End up with Juju.
Yeah, honestly, I got a feeling the Titans are about to throw a boatload at one of these receivers just to make sure that they get somebody.
Well, who's worth boatload? Galladay?
I mean,
Galladay's definitely
ain't
going
bad.
to New York. He's definitely going to New York.
He's either going to New York or the Bengals gave him an offer.
Yeah. Well, now you got who's left? You got Will Fuller.
And Juju.
You got Juju, Antonio Brown.
AB staying. He's not playing with anybody outside of Brady.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see that happening either, but I can wish it into existence.
He's probably still with him.
3-year deal, 35.5 for Curtis Samuel.
How much?
He got $10 million.
Yeah. A little bit over 11. A little bit over 11.
We could have shot 11.
Man, they didn't give Corey 10.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That deal is cheaper because Corey got 12 point something, right?
12.5.
Did he get like 37 million or something like that?
Yeah.
Corey got $337 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we gonna go?
Man, that's crazy. Look, because that's the thing, man. Like, I don't know what's going on, but the Titans have to get some wide receiver help. Like, AJ's gonna be struggling out there, man. He was literally running routes. Man, he was literally running routes on one leg and still like absolutely routing guys up. But I don't see that happening this year if he doesn't have nobody on the opposite side. There's no way.
I mean, he a dog, but golly, even dogs need a little bit of help.
Right.
Yeah. So kind of shifting towards I guess like the big thing that happened today, kind of going off of what me and Welton were talking about with like the identity and the culture of your team, which I'm sure my boy Chandler's going to do some audio magic here at the end. But
what is the identity of at least on this side, the Tennessee Titans defense?
I tell you what, remember this date, January 11th, 2020. That was the last time the Titans had any kind of defensive identity. Oof. And I'm pretty sure once y'all figure out what day that was, you'll understand me. But I'll just help you clear it up. It was the Baltimore Ravens game.
I knew it.
After that game, Coach Pease didn't really call any of the plays in the AFC Championship game. And that's why the identity on that defensive side of the ball has been lax. Everybody that fights and everybody that, gives any kind of pushback to Mike, is not received with any open arms. It's always fault. It's always, disciplinary. It's always equal action to being cut or released.
Basically, Wesley Woodyard was talking about how Mike Vrabel isn't very good with pushback and how everything, whenever, there's kind of any kind of criticism on him or criticism on the team, he doesn't do very well with that kind of stuff. Wesley Woodyard on J Mart and the Ramon show on 104.5, he said, everyone who gives pushback to Mike, it's not received with open arms. And he basically said that Dean Pease didn't call plays in the AFC Championship game. against the Chiefs, and we all know how that happened. The last game Dean Pease called plays was the Ravens game where Derrick Henry threw the Tebow pass and the Titans smacked up Baltimore. But what do you guys think about that? Because this is something we've heard a lot about Mike Vrabel. Like, we've kind of heard rumblings that he's not very good at letting people do their job. He likes to kind of be a helicopter coach. How do you guys think that's shaped up? Because in my opinion, personally, I think it's definitely hurt the defense quite a bit. You know, when you go from having a top 15, top 10 defense one year to being one of the worst defenses of all time, you know, there's obviously some missing pieces there. What do you guys think about that just in general? Because if this Shane Bowen defensive coordinator thing doesn't work out, the Titans are in big trouble.
Yeah, so to me, I'll speak on this just kind of briefly. I'll let you guys take it over more. But to me, it shows why the Titans couldn't bring back Dean Pease, though. It shows exactly why he went to Atlanta. He's like, no, I'm not you. You took over at the biggest point in Titans history since McNair and them were in that or whenever I guess the last time they were in the championship, I guess. But that was
I think it was 03,
right? Yeah,
2003. Was it 2003? Yeah, 2003 against the Raiders, right? Because it was the Raiders-Bucs Super Bowl.
Okay, so I mean,
I think you're
over,
right. Yeah.
So you took over at literally the most crucial time, man. This isn't about the ego anymore, man. You gotta let the person who helped get you to that area take over. Like, he's gotten this defense that was probably top 10. I don't know if they were top. I don't know, what the stats were at the time, because that was 2 years ago. So
rock solid defense at the very least.
So I mean, and it was the Chiefs. Maybe it would have worked. Maybe it wouldn't have. I mean, that Chiefs team, they look like they were destined for the Super Bowl anyway. But there was no time. This was not a time to. I need to show who exactly I am. A lot of those head coaches do that though. They love their coordinators start doing well. They're like, well, now let me step in and take over. Let me be the one who calls the plays offensively or defense. Like, no, it's not time for that, man. Set your ego aside and let what's been working all season long get you to that point. But yeah, like I said, I didn't have much on that, but yeah, you guys can go ahead and take that over.
So I guess moving forward, Demo and Welton, I'm gonna get your guys' perspective on this. How much confidence do you have in Mike Vrabel's ability to bring someone in and let them do their job? Because I feel like, personally, the Titans, going back about 2 years ago, their window to make a good Super Bowl run opened. And now that they're starting to lose these guys, it's starting to close, and that door might not get reopened. Especially with Ryan Tannehill getting up in age, as good as he is, you kind of need to take advantage of that when you can. So what do you guys think about that moving forward with Mike Vrabel?
For me, okay, I give it a 5. And the reason why I say that is because I think he lets the OC do their job. I just think defensively, because he's a defensive guy, that's why I can't allocate anything towards the defense. Because if what Wesley is saying is true, which, I mean, a lot of people have a lot of great things to say around the organization about Wesley Woodyard, then, I can honestly see where he was talking about, because he's right. Like, after the Chiefs defense, and I noticed this because I was watching the game at my cousin's house for the AFC Championship game. A lot of the problems that I saw in that Chiefs game, I was saying the whole 2020 season. Like, why are cornerbacks playing 7 yards off the ball? Why can't we get a pass rush? I know, granted, Malcolm Butler was already out for the season too, because I think he broke his wrist in Carolina. And the pass rush was,
non-existent.
Yeah, non-existent. Simmons, Casey, but I mean, I think, Simmons, Casey, and then Harold was playing 100 snaps a game almost. But the reason why I can see that is I was saying the exact thing. Like, why is it that I'm saying the same thing that happened on the last game of the season in the same breath as the 2020 season? Even though
I get it versus the Chiefs, just because it's so much speed out there.
Because they got an alien at quarterback, that's why.
Exactly.
Tyreek Hill
I
is
do
free
understand.
running super speed.
Yeah, that's
If
true.
you make that tackle on his little tightrope run and stop that touchdown from happening, you're going into halftime sitting on a lead. I'm just saying.
I'm still mad at Rashawn Evans for that. Rashawn had him,
Bro.
Rashawn had him, and then he just zoop, he got right out.
Bro, that play gives me PTSD.
Oh, it frustrates me.
Yeah,
It frustrates me so bad. But
man.
I think I think as far as offensively, I think he lets, he may say something about like running or whatever, or like a challenge here or there, which, I mean, he's gotten better with that, with his challenges. I'll give him that. Offensively, I'll give it to Vrabel this year. He did well, as far as being aggressive when he had to and all that stuff. But defensively, I think I wouldn't be surprised if, he doesn't allow the defensive coordinator to do their job. And definitely, if I'm not mistaken, Shane Bowen was in the Houston Texans. I think he was a linebacking coach the same time Vrabel was DC, if I'm not mistaken, because they both come from the Texans. That I do know for sure.
Yeah.
But so it's kind of like the flip flop. It's like, yeah, okay, Bowen is the DC, but he's not probably making the final say so. It's just a title just to let.
It's like a back and forth thing. They're like fighting over control.
For sure.
Yeah, and you can't really have that, in my opinion. Like you have to have one guy be able to say, all right, this is what we're doing. This is how we're rolling. Let's go do it.
I agree.
That's how I feel. Well, what do you think, man?
Man, one thing I was just kind of thinking is maybe that's why we promote so much in-house, because Vrabel doesn't want to – because he always wants to be that, like you said, his ego gets in the way, which, granted, I feel like he's a great motivator. He's a really high-energy guy, relatable, so a lot of times he gets along and has good relationships, but maybe that's why we promote in-house so often and don't bring in – like we could have brought in that DC from Wisconsin who was supposed to be kind of like a hot kind of name on the market with the way he was doing, but we keep in-house so Vrabel can consistently have the final say-so, be the final, voice. And, and we saw what happened. He cut three starters and might not bring back King in our secondary. So essentially our whole secondary is essentially going to be brand new besides Byard and a hooker. And really we need to bring somebody in, compete with Hooker, because we don't want to just give him the job. We want him to keep fighting and getting better. But I just think that Vrabel needs to really, it's early on in his head coaching career, made a mistake. Hopefully he learns from this and doesn't, ignite the fire even more. But I definitely agree that this Super Bowl window, this year was a key year. We didn't produce. Fact of the matter is we lost. We had a home playoff game. We struggled to get there. By the hair of our chinny chin chins, we got it. But we blew it on those two plays, essentially, by not tackling Lamar Jackson and not getting good pass rush. So I get why we're going all in a pass rush, and I get that he blames the players, but they didn't really have a real defensive coordinator. They didn't have an identity ever since really they cut Darrell Casey. They've kind of really been, we're trying to do a big splash. But I think that now I'm kind of glad we did our big splash right, early on in free agency before the draft, not like finally after everything was said and done. And, I think that now, this is good to do it now, and then we can get the identity, draft players, and really develop this year. And also COVID did mess some things up with, everything going on with the draft process and everything. So, but I'm just looking to the scouts, man. I hope the scouts know what they're doing, because these first-round picks you need them to stick with your team so that you can have an identity and you can, really grow the team and do what you need to do. So hopefully Vrabel, learn from his lesson and will continue to be a more understanding coach and let the DC do his thing.
Man, I hope so, because, I mean, y'all can tell me if y'all remember exactly what the number is, but there's never been a team in the history of the league until now that had a 1,000 or 2,000, two 1,000-yard receivers, a 2,000-yard rusher, and I think a 4,000-yard passer until now.
Right.
Close.
Yeah,
something
Corey
like
missed
that.
About like 10 yards. Though.
Or
That's
maybe. Okay, maybe it was a 1,000-yard receiver, a 2,000-yard rusher, and a 4,000-yard passer. There's never been a team in the history of the league that's done that until now. And for whatever reason, as prolific as our offense is, we couldn't find a way to make any more noise in the postseason. That should tell you something in itself. Like, there's major issues on this roster. And I agree with Welton. Like, this year was a big year for the Titans moving forward, because if they were able to build on what they did last year and kind of, maybe not do better, but at least come close to what they did last year in the postseason, I think that leaves a mark in free agency specifically, because that's kind of the Titans' problem, is they've never been able to land big name guys. Guys are always signed with Pittsburgh, they always signed with Dallas, always signed with, San Francisco, all these big teams. But the Titans kind of need to make their presence known when they get the opportunity to. And they weren't able to do that. And now they're kind of struggling and scrambling, trying to sign guys. And now you got a secondary that's basically brand new. You got a defense that's one of the worst defenses of all time. Like, now they're forced to throw out money to get these guys to sign here. It could be, I'm not going to say it's like a implosion inbound or anything, but it's getting real. Like, I'm starting to turn that knob. Like, all right, I'm getting a little nervous over here. So I don't know. It can either go really well and all these guys pan out and they step up. Guys like Bud Dupree, he comes in and drops 12 sacks on us or something like that. Or he can come in and drop 3 and we're sitting with like $35 million in his pockets for nothing. Like that you're either boom or bust right here. And I don't like those kind of odds. So for me specifically, I'm getting kind of nervous about J-Rob. I'm getting kind of nervous about Mike Vrabel. Even though I think they've done a good job overall, but it's starting to get real nervous out here. I guess
this year they're definitely on the hot seat. I think it's getting a little warm on them. They have to really understand, because there's going to be some great head coaching candidates out there. Look at Eric Bellamy.
Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, my bad. But think about this: if Vrabel doesn't do what he needs to do this year, and we underperform, and the Colts win the division. I'm sorry, I hate the Colts. So right, with Wentz, like, we should be after him. We should put him on his back. We should be winning the division. We should be at least second round, hopefully AFC championship. That's what I'm expecting. If we don't get that, maybe it's time for us to go a different direction, especially if our offense lags with coach of the Falcons now is gone.
Arthur Smith.
Yeah. And R. Smith is gone, because he was our OC for 2 years. We really excelled, and like you said, we had historic numbers on offense. Now that he's gone, okay, are we going to have 4,000, 2,000, and 1,000? Who's going to be a crossover? We had to let go of so much of our offense to improve our defense, which could have just all been a breakdown since the AFC Championship game in the first place. So Vrabel really needs to step back. Him and J-Rob need to get it together, because I think that this might officially be on the hot seat if they, mess this up. I mean, it's not like he had the greatest defenses in Texas anyways with the Texans, so he just had great players as far as Clowney and Watt. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, if Welton's going to bring it up, I'll reinforce it. I've said it many times. Like, when Vrabel was out there in Houston, man, them defenses were rough. And then he got out here and he said, all right, well, now I'm head coach. I get to do what I want. And look at our defense all over again. So I'm just saying, don't kill me. I'm just saying.
Shoot the messenger.
But yeah, so, man, I'll leave that up for y'all. Y'all can debate that as much as y'all want. Y'all heard my piece. But yes, I mean, that's kind of everything we wanted to talk about in general, all of our topics that we had pre-planned. I do want to mention, though, we probably should put this at the beginning of the video, honestly, but you can edit it the way you need to. One thing that we were going to try and be a little bit more consistent with is our schedule. So as long as our schedule stay the same right now, we're probably going to shoot for Wednesdays. So you should probably get video podcast somewhere around Thursday, Friday, if I had to guess, somewhere around there. We're going to try and get it nailed down a little bit better, but we're going to work on that. Try to be more consistent this year. I feel like I say that every year, honestly, but it's whatever. So yeah, so I've enjoyed hanging out with y'all.
Stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So if y'all have any kind of thing that y'all want to finish up with, go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
Anything specific?
I did. Okay, so I that was my fault. I didn't know the wide receiver core thing. I didn't get my opinion on that. Okay, so this is my opinion. I'm gonna make it real quick, and however it goes, but I think as far as the wide receiver room, this is what I would do. I would just try to get someone on like that wave to a wave of free agency, because in my opinion, I think the wide receiver group that's coming out like this year and even in years later now, like this breed of wide receivers that we're seeing in the NFL is like we've never seen guys who go in like the second or third round or even like, first round, like Justin Jefferson, like 88 catches, but, put up more yards than Stephon Diggs, or almost as much or more. I don't know, but, like these new wide receivers are just crazy. Then you look at like a guy like Laviska Shenault that plays for the Jags. Like, he's a Swiss Army knife. Like, these new wide receivers are, really, are really doing something. So, this is like my philosophy. I think you get your wide receiver 2 in the draft in the second round. But what I would do, and I put this in the group chat too. I like Keelan Cole from Jacksonville, and I don't like the Jaguars at all. But I will recognize talent when I see one, and I like Keelan Cole, like what he can do in the slot. He kind of feels that Adam Humphries role, but I think he's more explosive, and I just think he's better, just better, I guess, in the sense of like being what they need to be for the Titans, which is someone who can be a baby. So yeah, and I guess we'll do this on another show if we're doing like stuff around the draft. But I would just say, there's a wide receiver that I really like in the second round. Yeah,
I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Yo, my dog.
Oh, for sure.
One thing I want to say before we get up out of here, I definitely think what we're going to see from the Titans, though, is focusing on depth signings. Even though, we spent a lot of did our big splash with Autry and Dupree, retained Jayon. So if the wide receivers, like you said, don't come off the board, we might see some depth, like maybe a Keelan Cole, who his contract was a 1 year, $3.2 million last year. So maybe we can get him for $5 million, $6 million. Maybe a Brashard Perriman from the Jets. Maybe he's like an $8 million. Maybe we can sign them for depth, but we definitely need some vets in that room. Or maybe like again I mentioned Rashad Higgins. We definitely need a backup running back. We didn't match the tender on Dante Foreman. We drafted Appalachian State Darrington Evans, but he was hurt a lot of the season. I don't know what he's going to do. We definitely need some running back depth. Maybe Jared Cook needs some tight end depth. I know we signed him. Maybe we draft
Cook back.
Titans legend Jared Cook.
He started his career with Titans. Maybe it'd be good to bring him back. Veteran in the room.
They're in and over Delaney again.
Man.
And so, but that's definitely what I feel like. And also, I think backup quarterback. God forbid Tannehill does get hurt, but
needs to be addressed.
I don't believe in Logan or Woodside at all, like whatsoever.
Man, what's funny about that is they, for whatever reason, love Logan Woodside. I'm telling you, it's crazy. I don't get it, but they love that.
Jalen Hurts. I'm gonna die on
Oh man.
But yeah, I think we're gonna see some depth signings, and we need to focus on that, specifically, and even cornerback, but specifically in our areas of need. Especially even if we're going to draft somebody, it might be an Isaiah Wilson part 2. God forbid.
God,
you can't rush that up on him, brother.
Nah, that's not good. That's bad juju. Hey, Juju. Speaking of Juju,
he's supposed to be like 16. His projected from Sports Track is like 16 mil. We're not going to shell out 16, 17 mil for him.
Who?
Juju. Yeah, nobody paid 16 for Juju. I'm going to tell you on that one.
That's what his projected value is on Sport Track.
Man, no, it ain't.
Nah, he
like
he
a
can
1
take,
year deal, $2 million.
Man, he can make that money on TikTok. I'm good.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Corvette.
Big fan.
Yes, man. Corvette. All right. Anyways, I'm glad we got to hang out, talk some football. Like I said, we're going to be a little bit more consistent, hopefully. Draft time, I promise. Pretty much the last 3 or 4 years, I've hit on at least like one of the first 2 picks for the Titans, if not both of them. I remember we were talking about Harold Landry and Rashawn Evans, and we were like, it'd be crazy if we got both of them, but I don't see that happening. And it happened.
Didn't nobody think Harold Landry was gonna fall?
No. Yeah. So I feel like our track record for draft stuff is pretty good. So I'm looking forward to that. We're definitely gonna be on that this year. But anyway, yeah. So I guess we'll wrap it up here. We're definitely gonna get back at it next week. So see you guys